What up, child boys, man? Got another video. Today is Friday the 13th. So we got horrifying things that happen on Friday the 13th, man, by Mr. Nightmare. Get into it. I wanted to watch this video right here, but you know what I'm saying? Horror Source probably I texted them, emailed them. They said the email to like react to their videos and shit. Never got a response. I texted in the comments, they said a response, so I don't want to get copyrighted and get on strikes and shit. So but Nightmare
13th has long been considered a date cursed with bad luck. It's largely been a date that people look at as an excuse to do scary themed activities like binging scary movies. But this is the first year since 2017 that Friday the 13th falls in October. So for this video, we're looking at some of the most terrifying events that have actually taken place on the notorious day of bad luck.
Let's see this shit up.
Tupac Shakur, better known as a stage name simply as Tupac, was an American rapper widely considered to be one of the most influential and successful rappers of all time. Tupac was arguably responsible for some of the most memorable rap verses in history. And while much of his notoriety came about after his shocking death in the mid-1990s, he's still remembered and talked about today. On the night of September 7th, 1996, Tupac was in Las Vegas celebrating his business partner's birthday. And one night while there, he attended the Bruce Seldon vs. Mike Tyson boxing match with Suge Knight at the MGM Grand. Later that night at about 11:15 p.m., while at a stoplight, a white four-door Cadillac sedan pulled up to the passenger side of Tupac's vehicle, and an occupant rapidly fired into the car. He was hit 4 times, once in the arm, once in the thigh, and twice in the chest, with one bullet entering his right lung. Tupac succumbed to his injuries 6 days later on September 13th, which was a Friday. The case went unresolved, with people suspecting his friend Suge Knight and even rapper Biggie Smalls of the murder. But recently, on September 29th, 2023, 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis was charged in the killing of Tupac. Dwayne is not accused of being the one to pull the trigger that night in Las Vegas, but he is, however, being accused of having been the one to call the hit on Tupac.
Damn.
The trial is still currently in progress.
They say he was like 60 years old, too. Plane crashes?
A lot of people refuse to fly on Friday the 13th.
I like planes, bro. Oh, yeah.
And while that...
like I said, man, my like, for me, God, for me, I know he got me, so I don't really be tripping on planes for real. But at some point, I was scared of planes and shit.
They come down to pure superstition among some people.
When I was younger.
There have been a few tragedies in the air on this day. In October 1972,
honestly, like, it was really just when the 2021 thing happened, or 2020 thing happened. That's really when I was scared of it. But other than that, like I said, once I started getting closer with God, I didn't really care.
On Friday the 13th,
but I do still be scared when I'm
heading to Chile was forced to crash land in the Andes Mountains. The flight was carrying 45 passengers and crew, including 19 members of the Old Christians Club rugby union team, along with their families, supporters, and friends. 3 crew members and 9 passengers died immediately. Several more died soon afterward due to the frigid temperatures and the severity of their injuries. Survivors of the crash hid in the wreckage for warmth and were eventually forced to cannibalize and eat deceased passengers to survive. A rescue team was sent out, but the mission was called off after 10 days. However, 72 days after the crash, as the weather improved with the arrival of late spring, 2 survivors climbed a 4,700-meter mountain peak without gear and hiked for 10 days into Chile to seek help, traveling a total of 38 miles. The 2 men were able to alert authorities that there were still 16 survivors trapped in the mountains, leading to their rescue. But believe it or not, on the exact same Friday the 13th as this plane crash, the same exact date, was another plane crash that killed all 164 passengers and 10 flight crew. It was Aeroflot 217. The plane needed to land due to horrible weather conditions, but crashed upon landing in Russia.
That's the only thing I really be scared of, like horrible, like either that, like the horrible conditions, or like something tearing off, like the jet tearing off, or stuff like that.
3 miles away from the runway.
Like they can't stop it.
The exact cause of the crash could not be determined, but it's speculated that it was largely to do with simply human error. Casualty-wise, it is one of the worst plane crashes in history. While these incidents are incredibly rare, perhaps there is a reason flights are cheaper on Friday the 13th. If you're not superstitious, perhaps it may be worth it. But Now we
I don't
move
know
from
about
the
all that.
sky to the sea,
But I mean, shit, that's
looking at
y'all.
the Costa
That's what I say.
Concordia
Like me personally, and I know too. They said that you can get like a bowl for free at Chipotle. You can get free tattoos at a tattoo shop. I got my tattoo at. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I don't really think you should like for anything that's discounted. Like when it comes to your life or like your body, you shouldn't take it. Like if it's like okay, you get a discounted shirt, okay, maybe that or discounted shoes, hat, whatever. But if it's like discounted tattoo, discounted haircut, stuff like that, discounted flight, I wouldn't say you should do that type of stuff. Because it's like if it's discounted and it's like I mean flight may be a little different because it'll be less people that do it. But it's like a tattoo, stuff like that, haircut, I feel like people are gonna do less like especially because they're gonna have a lot more people to do. They're not gonna be as you know what I'm saying? Especially because, like me, if it's like a tattoo, I would rather pay you the full price than you do it for free and then you just mess my body up. You know what I'm saying? At least if I do it full price, you'll do it right, take your time. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like money is the main reason why a lot of people do, like, tattoos and haircuts, stuff like that. So, but that's just me, though. I don't know. I mean,
Friday the
other
13th,
I
January
just don't personally think I
2012,
should do that.
the 8-year-old Costa Cruises ship Costa
But maybe
Concordia
maybe. That's
just
what
left Civitavecchia, Italy at approximately 7:18 p.m. On board were 1,022 crew members
It's a cruise?
and 3,206 passengers. As the Concordia
3,000?
approached Giglio Island several hours later, it deviated from its standard course, moving closer to the small Tuscan island for a maritime salute, which included the cruise ship sounding its horn to show off
cruise, but that's so tough. I know my family, my dad, and my mom went on this cruise before.
to onlookers
When I was
on the
younger, though.
land.
Like I was
Concordia had
I wasn't
performed
born yet.
several in the past, but the area was known for rock
But yeah, I always be scared to see this. That's what I'm saying. Like cruise, like the only thing I feel like is scary on a cruise is just rocks, bro. Like big
outcroppings.
rocks and shit.
And at some point,
So I remember I watched. I think it was Jesse or Sweet Life of Jack and Cody. It was one of those, and they had episode where I think it was Jesse. They had an episode where they crashed to a rock and they had to use the that big little light tower thing. That's what they had to use to get help and shit like that.
formation was
I'm
noticed
telling you, like shows back then, used to actually teach you a lot, bro.
in the ship's
But
path.
we just didn't know because you're younger.
Francesco Schettino, the captain, ordered a change in course, but allegedly due to language issues, the Indonesian helmsman steered the boat in the opposite direction. It took a little over 10 seconds to
Bro, I
correct
wonder
the
how long you
maneuver,
have to
and the
be able
boat's
to
bow
drive
ultimately swung
to
clear.
learn how to drive
The
this.
stern collided with the reef at approximately
probably the hardest thing
9:45
to drive.
p.m. The damage had been
I think
done.
I'm playing shit.
The Concordia's port side had suffered a 174-foot tear. This
Damn.
caused the ship to list and then partially sink,
So it's like,
landing
yeah.
unevenly on an underwater ledge.
Damn.
Although a 6-hour
And imagine
rescue
all the
effort
panic that was in here
brought
too.
most of the passengers
6
ashore,
hours?
33 people died, 27 passengers, 5 crew, and later a member of the salvage team. An investigation
I'm RP
focused
to them, bro. But they said there was 3,000 people, so probably like 2,000 of them survived. It sounds like, or at least like two. You know what
on
I'm
the
saying?
shortcomings in
There
the
wasn't that
procedures
many
followed by
people
the
that
Concordia's
passed away.
crew and the actions of the captain, Francesco,
But there's a
who
lot of
left the
people
ship prematurely,
that
leaving behind
passed
about
away, especially
300
in one
passengers on
specific
board the
women.
sinking ship, most of whom were rescued by helicopters or
But they said a lot of
motorboats
them
in
were
the
rescued,
area.
bro. RP to the
Schettino
ones that passed away, pressure their
was
family.
found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to
Damn.
16 years in prison.
Yeah, man.
Despite receiving criticism, Costa Cruises and its parent company Carnival Corporation didn't face criminal charges. The total
Just from
cost of the
steering the wheel
disaster,
wrong way?
including victims'
knowing?
compensation, refloating, towing, and scrapping costs, is estimated at $2 billion, more than 3
Golly.
times the ship's original $612 million construction cost. The cruise line offered
$2
compensation
billion?
to passengers to pay for
And
all
then, and then some of them probably got sued for like the wrongful death thing. I think that's what they call it.
damages, including the value of the
You
cruise.
feel me?
Only 1/3 of the
For allowing
survivors took
family
the
to pass
offer.
away.
This remains the
1/3?
biggest modern cruise ship catastrophe.
Damn.
David Anthony McGreevy was born in Southport, England in 1951 to Bella and Thomas McGreevy. David was the second oldest of 6 children. Since David's father was a sergeant in the British Army, a lot of his childhood was spent moving from one army base to another. This could mean that one year he was being educated in an army school in England, the next in Germany. According to David's mother, living in Germany was his happiest time. David's mother, Bella, later said she could only remember one childhood
I got a
incident
feeling
of
what's gonna
concern,
happen.
as David was otherwise allegedly well behaved. In
Yeah, I'm already
1967, 15-year-old David left school and enlisted in the Royal Navy.
Oh, it's the
However,
Navy?
he was
Okay.
dismissed from the
That's
Navy
not
in
what I thought it was
August
gonna be.
1971 after being court-martialed for starting a fire that destroyed a mess
Oh, yeah,
wardroom.
fired.
David then moved back in with his parents, but around this time, David left well behaved. In 1967, 15-year-old David left school and enlisted in the Royal Navy.
I didn't even know you could go in the Navy at 15.
However, he was dismissed from the Navy in August 1971 after being
so that was like 4 years.
court-martialed for starting a fire that destroyed a mess wardroom. David then moved back in with his parents, but around this time his life was crumbling as his fiancée broke up with him and he was fired from several jobs.
Damn, that's
for this reason.
That's mental right there, bro. You had to travel to many different schools. You finally found somewhere you wanted to be. Ended up going to the Navy. He was there for 4 years. Ended up, getting, well, not necessarily fired, but you got disbanded from them. Then you went back to your family to live with your family. It's probably around 19 at this time. Then you had lost your girl or fiance, whatever he said. And then you lost a lot of jobs. I'm already know this about
his parents became fed up with him and kicked him out. So
out.
David turned to his friend Clive Kenneth Ralph, who let him board with he and his wife, Dorothy Elsie, and their two small children, Paul and Dawn. Clive and Dorothy had been school friends, and there was a 5-year age gap between them. They had married in September 1968, when Dorothy was 16 and pregnant with Paul.
16.
By the time David moved in, Dorothy was pregnant with their third child, Samantha, who was born on the 14th of July in 1972. With both Clive and Dorothy busy working, David acted as a babysitter for the Ralph children. He was regarded by family and neighbors as well as the Ralphs as a person who loved children. So what would soon happen was nothing short of unexpected and horrific.
No way he did this,
On Friday the 13th, in April 1973, Elsie was picked up from work by Clive, who had left home late with the children all asleep.
Please don't tell me it was a kid.
When the couple arrived at their home, the police were already there, and they escorted them to the police station, where they were told of the horrible truth that their children had been murdered.
Oh, come on, dog. I don't think it was going to be the children, bro. I thought he was going to do it to, like, the parents or something. Man, RP the kids, bro.
So what happened?
Rest of the film.
David was known to be a heavy drinker and sometimes a violent drunk. He had gone...
I don't understand why y'all drink, bro. Especially around kids, at least. Like, whatever you do in your free time is nothing to do with me, but at least make sure your kids is alright, bro. Even if they're not your kids. Like, if you're around kids in general, it doesn't have to be necessarily your kids. I just don't see why you would do this, bro, to a kid, bro.
To a nearby pub earlier that evening.
And these kids don't even look that old. Right here. These kids are probably like, 5, 6 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Elsie was picked up from work by Clive, who were already there with the children. They escorted them to the police station, where they were told of the horrible truth that their children had been murdered. So what happened? Well, David was known to be a heavy drinker and sometimes a violent drunk. He had gone to a nearby pub earlier that evening with a friend, and he had 7 pints of beer. The two men had played cards and darts, though a small altercation took place prior to leaving the pub. Clive picked David up from the pub and brought him to look after the children, while Clive went to get Elsie from work. Sometime between 10:15 and 11:15 p.m., David, while completely wasted, became infuriated with the children, beginning with the baby, Samantha, who had been crying for her bottle.
And it's like, too, that's why I be saying y'all gotta watch who y'all with, because she probably, the girl that was working, that was the mom of them, they probably didn't even know that he was this type of way. You feel me? Like, they probably didn't know he went out and was drinking and stuff like that. They probably don't know that he's, like, violent and stuff like that, bro. Because they just met him. And then she just met him. She was older than him. And she was pregnant at the time she met him. And then got pregnant again with another kid. You feel me? And then started going back to work. And I never knew, like, I mean, I don't know, I guess maybe because it was back then. I never knew, like, the mom would not work and the dad would go to work. Like, I thought it would be more of, like, not even necessarily to fit the stereotype, but it's just, like, I feel like moms are, like, more, let me not say important. I just feel like moms are, like, they have a lot more of a connection with the kid. Like, mentally and stuff like that.
David violently killed the 3 children, each in a different yet brutal manner. After killing the 3 children, David went down to the basement and retrieved a pickaxe to further mutilate their bodies. David was arrested by police at 3:50 a.m., walking on a road near the Ralphs' home. Upon his arrest, David initially denied any responsibility, but several hours later, he admitted to the murders, with his only explained reasoning disgustingly being simply that the baby was crying.
Yeah, like I said, bro, y'all watch who y'all date and watch who y'all bring around your children, bro. It's really just simple as that.
David was sentenced to multiple life sentences with minimums of 20
And this
years.
nigga just killed 3 innocent children because they were crying. 3 innocent, yeah, kids because they were crying.
And in prison, he was subjected to frequent abuse by other prisoners, and he spent most of his 45 years behind bars in protected conditions. In December of 2018, a parole board cleared David for release, declaring that he had changed significantly and he was no longer a risk.
I guess.
There's bound to be
Hope he changed his life, bro.
anywhere from 1 to 3 Friday the 13th each
shit, I wouldn't even like. I don't think he would like ever forget that, bro.
year. If you are superstitious and choose to be more low-key on this inevitable date in an attempt to escape any bad luck, you may end up like Daz Baxter. On Friday the 13th in 1976, Daz decided to just stay in the bed for the day to avoid anything bad happening, only to be killed when the floor of his apartment block collapsed under him.
What?
There's countless other stories and examples of misfortune and downright tragedy that's happened on Friday the 13th, but this could be said for literally every other date on the calendar. At the end of the day, maybe it's just another day.
Alright, bro. Finna do a prayer for these people and then gonna get to the last video of the day. Lord, just protect these people that were involved, or people that passed away, so they can be able to be with you in heaven. And help everybody change their life. You know, prayers to those little kids' families. And hopefully that God that did it changed his life and got to you. You know, I know this was a long time ago, so I don't know if he's still alive now. But just bless his family, bless everybody else's family. Help people be able to forgive him, because that's what you want for us to do. And overall, help us keep chasing our dreams. You know, with me, you too, but whoever's watching this, whatever they have a dream of. And just help us give you all the glory. We love you, Lord. We're nothing without you. You just love you. And just I love y'all, man. Jesus loves y'all. Y'all stay safe. Got one video today. So, man, happy 13th Friday, man. Friday the 13th, whatever you want to call it.